Moonshine may one day be made right in downtown Hyannis. The details on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, February 7th, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. First up, we'll talk about Town Council. They meet tonight. On the agenda, councilors will accept the nominations of new members for the Barnstable Economic Development Commission and Waterways Committee. Also, the appointment of Daniel W. Santos as the new Director of Public Works will also be ratified. Councilors will hear from the Citizens Advisory Committee regarding the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. A slew of community preservation requests will be referred to a public hearing later this month. Town Council meets at 7 o'clock tonight at Town Hall. The meeting will air live on Channel 18. You can grab a copy of the agenda online at town.barnstable.ma.us or pick one up in person right here at Town Hall. Meanwhile, at this morning's formal site plan review, the board heard plans to convert 411 Barnstable Road from a tool retail store to a distillery. The property once housed Woodworkers Warehouse. It's close to the airport rotary. This morning, attorney Michael Ford, representing Cape Cod Distillery, addressed the board.
This property is at 411 Barnstable Road. It's on the west side of Barnstable Road. And we have an aerial photograph of the area that corresponds with our existing conditions plan. The parcel is approximately 23,500 square feet. It's almost entirely impervious at this point. There's a small planter along the front side of the building that maybe could be counted towards a pervious area. We have 23 existing parking spaces to the east and along the road, or to the north and along the road. And as Michael said, this building was, I guess, previously used as a form of retail and tool distribution. A proposed site plan, this is an architectural rendering of it, but it's better colored up than perhaps mine and seems to have all the same information on it. But the building, footprint-wise, is probably just under 12,000 square feet. Very little change to the building. There is a proposed covered entryway with handicapped access up to it. And what we're proposing to do is to use 14 spaces off to the side, and what we've tried to do is to improve the layout of it and the configuration of the site. We have reduced the size of these parking spaces to a length of 18 feet so that we could try to get some green space along both the property line and along the building. We have slid the entrance a little bit to the south on the existing conditions, or if you've been there, you can see that the entrance kind of dead ends right into the first parking spaces. So we've slid it down a little bit, but basically tried to maintain that entrance size.
Plans to refurbish the building were outlined during the meeting as well.
As Mike referenced, there's no real expansion of the footprint, but one area. We are putting a 7x10 covered entry and a new handicap access ramp on the north side, much closer to the main parking lot. So that is, I did want to clarify that's area right here in the darker red is the only real footprint increase. I think John gave a good overview of the site, so I'm going to go right to basically the building, and it's not at a true schematic design level that you're probably used to seeing at schematic design at site plan review level. Reason being is we're still awaiting a whole series of equipment layouts literally from Scotland, where Mr. Wrightson is purchasing the basic still house equipment. And until we really have that equipment to kind of roll into the plan, what we've got essentially is a space diagram at this point. I think we've got enough on the perimeter and to show that what we're going to do in terms of facade improvements. But the real nitty-gritty of the interior plan is very much still going to be evolving as the equipment plans roll out. So I'm used to coming with much more definitive floor plans, but these are a bit higher level right now.
And the further functions of the building were discussed, from possible catering to tours to, of course, storage of items.
So what we've got is basically two primary areas to the building. You've got kind of the public retail side, which is this whole area kind of shown in that orange color, that would be everything from the public entry, the tasting room, the area where a tour would start, the area where the retail gift shop portion would be. So that's our public face. There's a classroom area where that actually be small class that could occur, or small events that might occur. Mr. Wrightson envisions, he's had discussions with everything from the Cape Cod Community College to local chamber about actually having events and small things here that would be on some kind of a tourist situation too. The blue area is what's kind of the very undefined still house. This area represented about 1,200 square feet, which is what we understand at this level to be the real mechanical portion of the distilling operation. And I'm sure we'll get into the details of the fire separations at some point. In a sense, the way that's envisioned is almost a building within the building in terms of how that will be constructed, what kind of fire protection systems will go in, and we'll get into that in a moment. So that dashed area is where, and that's about the size of the large still of 2 stills, and then there's a series of other pieces of equipment that will have all sorts of equipment drawings coming in. This area here would be everything from bottling and fermentation. It's part of the distilling operation, but it's not the still house itself. This area is the aging warehouse, and that is really the long-term storage for the barrels. We're talking upwards of 5 years or more for the basic long-term wood barrel storage that ultimately becomes not supposed to call it Scotch, but the single malt product. The purple area here would be related to shipping and receiving, where this would be where barley is stored before it moves into processing. There'd be bottle storage, and this is where they're envisioning kind of the basic shipping and receiving area.
After several questions and much discussion, the Site Plan Review Board did approve the plans.
Okay, well, I think this has been an education for all of us, and it's a very interesting project to work on. It doesn't sound like we have too much. We have to look into working more with the fire department, exactly how all that's going to work, and with the building commissioner. You do have to go through the regulatory review process, which you've talked about, regulatory agreement. The parking seems like it's basically going to work out. We do need to get together on some of the details, particularly on the front part, how all that's going to work, turning radiuses and whatnot. And then we will need to, on the sidewalk, it's kind of more of a detail, but to work out, and we'll have to make sure we have handicap ramps and all that kind of stuff, for that sidewalk out on the street, but it certainly has been an interesting presentation, and appreciate it. I think we're going to take it, that we can just do it
Administratively?
Administratively, that's the word I was searching for.
Okay.
Yes.
And so our meetings with the Site Plan Committee from here out will probably be more one-on-ones or informal, so we finally get the information that you need to be able to make a recommendation, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I envision that Tom might want to have 2 or 3 of us when we talk about
That's
how it's
fine.
all going to move in the
We'd be
front.
happy to, right.
That makes sense to me,
So I think that what we'll do, since we have a hearing Monday
Okay.
before the planning
Yes.
board,
Okay.
is we'll report that we've made our initial stop here.
Yeah.
And that you've requested some additional information in a number of areas. I'll report to them what they are, and that we're optimistic those will be worked out, and you'd have a recommendation, not for Monday, but perhaps for the continuance date of the planning board.
Yes.
Does that
Yeah.
sound?
That sounds
Okay.
It doesn't mean the end of the road, though, just the beginning of it, actually. The regulatory process is next. The owners must also get approval from both the federal government and the state before manufacturing malt liquor in Hyannis. You can watch the entire site plan review meeting online at town.barnstable.ma.us. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.